Elon, and welcome to the Substitutes. I'll be your host, Cameron Thayer, and joining me is Andrew to my
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Walker, who is an Arsenal fan,
Come
Dylan,
on,
who is
lads.
a Crystal Palace fan. Dylan and I are 2 for 2 on the pod. We've made two. So today we'll look at the Carabao Cup first legs from the Liverpool Fulham and the Chelsea Middlesbrough. We'll also take a look at the game week 21 we have up ahead, which is 2 weeks long. We'll also look at Walker and Andrew's team of the season so far. They weren't in last week, and also just some questions from our Instagram account. So first, we'll tap into a little Liverpool 2, Fulham 1. I'll go ahead and let Andrew take it away since he is the Liverpool laddie.
Yeah, so definitely it actually was a good start from Liverpool for the first 10 or 12 minutes. We looked really intent and we're pressing really well. It looked like we were going to get a goal early. And Fulham really didn't have anything going forward until that Willian goal. And after that, it really gave them something to defend. And they just sat behind the ball and they defended really well for the rest of the first half. And to be fair to them, they defended well enough where Liverpool didn't even really create anything else really after their goal in the first half. The start of the second half was decent for Liverpool, and you knew that Liverpool would have most of the ball during that game, especially with Fulham going 1-0 up. But with the subs of Gakpo and Nunez coming on, they definitely injected some life into the game. Curtis Jones, I think, has been one of my standout players of the season. He's been really, really good, and I think kind of an unsung hero of this team. But he was able to score, even though it was via deflection. You gotta shoot him to score. So it looked right after he scored that there was going to be only one winner in that game, and I mean only 4 minutes later, Gakpo scores, and I honestly thought and I hoped that we were going to go and push on and get another one or two just to give us a little bit more cushion for that second leg because an away game at Craven Cottage can be difficult, especially with only a one goal lead. But I mean, still to get out of that game when we didn't play our best with no Salah, no Endo, no Shabazai, um, I think it was still a good result and gives us a good chance at getting to a final and being able to win a trophy. So no complaints, but yeah, another game, another win.
Yeah, just checked. Also, this must be Curtis Jones, little EFL Cup that he's running because he's got 3 goals and 4 starts. So he's obviously, producing the goods for Liverpool in the EFL Cup. Do we, Walker, Dylan, do you want to touch on it at all? Or not good for you? Lot?
I mean, It's that's the pretty Carabao much. Cup, man. Who cares? Energy drink cup. Really
Well,
could care less, man. It's
We'll
like,
definitely touch on the FA Cup.
yeah,
yeah,
don't
yeah,
worry.
it's just a little bit of.
Um,
Who even cares, man?
basically, yeah, I think the biggest thing is once Gakpo and Nunez got on, I think it was bang bang right after they got
Yeah,
on. I think a
Yeah,
lot of
I didn't tune in, but I heard that. I mean, from what I could tell, Nunez kind of came in and brought some life to the game, low energy. 'Cause,
mm,
yeah,
he's just a freight train running around. Chaos ball.
chaos ball. I think Bleacher Report posted something and said that exact
Yeah,
chaos.
Leno actually had one great save on him where he did everything right in terms of a wide ball coming in. And it was actually on his left, and it was about I'd say shin height, and he opened up his foot and his left foot, and it was on target. But Leno made a great save, but he actually got both assists for both Curtis Jones and I mean Curtis Jones. It's not like he put the ball on a plate or anything new, but I mean they all count the same.
Yep.
But with Gakpo's, it was really good work on the left, and was able to put a ball in find his man. So yeah, I mean, he's not finishing like obviously we'd like him to, but I mean he's still making an impact. So
he's
you
he's
can't
got the
fault.
most assists on the year
Yeah,
now for Liverpool, right?
yeah. Him
10
and
in all
I think
conference.
Salah's sitting on 8 right now. He's actually tied most in the Prem right now. I think with Ollie Watkins for assists, but yeah. Besides that, I mean Nunez he's always causing havoc.
Darwin. Do we think Liverpool cruise, or do you think with only a 1 goal advantage going to the cottage, it's going to be a tough game for them?
I say 2-0 Liverpool. I think
At
it
the,
takes them. I think it takes them about 65 minutes to get the goal, though. But then they kind of just floodgates.
Yeah, if I think in that game, honestly, I actually could see Fulham kind of getting undone quickly. It'll go either one or the other, but they're going to come out, I feel like, at home and try and get the fans on their side from the start and go real aggressive, and it could work out in their favor with that first 15 minutes. They get a goal and they get the crowd behind them, and they could go on and push us all the way for sure. But I think that leaves them real vulnerable at times too, and that with our attack and everything, it could be one of those games where in the first 20 minutes we're 1 or 2 nil up and almost the tie's done. But it could be completely vice versa, where they're putting all the pressure and up the crowd behind us. But it's just one of those ties where I think Marco Silva will go for it, especially at home, only down a goal. If you would have asked him, I think before the game, and said, "Would you take a 2-1?" and it kind of gives his team the fact that they were able to get a goal, gives them some confidence going in to the next couple weeks. So, yeah,
Dylan, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, if I was a Fulham fan, it's almost the best case scenario. I mean, it's all to play for still in the second leg, and it's
they
the
definitely
most.
gave themselves a chance going
It's
in.
it's the most realistic chance they'll come away with any silverware. I doubt they find their way through the FA Cup and even make it to Wembley in that. So I mean, they're safe mid-table. Like they're not in any danger, so might as well risk it, go for it while there's the
I like
time.
Fulham. They're a good side. They're a fun side to watch. Wish we didn't have to beat them.
All right, moving on. We'll move on to Chelsea 0, Middlesbrough 1.
Wish Owen were here for this one.
Yeah, no. He decided to say he's got power outage.
Oh, power issues. Power issues.
Middlesbrough shot Chelsea in the first round after a first half goal. Even though Chelsea had a 2.17 expected goal, they could not get the ball over the line. I think from the group chat, I didn't really watch any of the game, but Owen was very upset with how many chances players miss. But do we think Chelsea will be able to get the job done over the line at home? Down 1-0.
They should.
Goals are hard to come by for the Chelsea.
I think they do in extra time. I think it's going to be like they win 1-0 and then they might win it in extra time or penalties, but I don't think it's going to be a rout by any means. I mean, it's just same old story with them. They just don't have anyone that can finish. Cole Palmer, he didn't have his game, and it's like almost for them to get a result, he needs to be flying at the moment. And without him, they're just, I mean, they're lost. So, yeah, that's just my kind of thought on it. I thought Poch, I was watching it. I watched about the first 60 minutes of it, but I saw they took Madueke off, and I was kind of surprised on that because he looked like probably the most threatening player alongside Palmer from what I watched. So I thought that was a really weird decision. Sterling played horrible that whole game from what I saw. So I don't know why he was still on the field, and Broyo, when he came on, he did not look sharp. He just looked kind of Nunez-y without the pace and strength, just kind of donkey-ish.
Pretty good. Walker, you want to touch on it real quick, lad?
I mean, I was working, so I didn't catch most of it. But from what I saw, Nani did look probably the most threatening player on Chelsea by a country mile, really. I mean, he was flying down that right side. I mean, that left back was struggling against him.
I like him. I think he's a player. I don't know why he hadn't gotten more starts in running games.
Yeah, I think the issue with him, at least from what I can tell, is he just doesn't have the end product, which isn't saying much because no one on the Chelsea squad at the moment, other than Cole Palmer, has any sort of finishing touch. So it's like, why not try it out?
Yeah, I think he's had 2 in his last 2. Before that, in the Prem, he scored against
Luton.
Yeah, and then I can't remember.
Yeah, that was a good finish.
I think goal against Luton.
Yeah, it was a great
Real
goal.
quick, Dylan, you think they're going to go through, yes or no?
They should.
Walker,
That's a safe answer, Dub. You got to lay it on the line here.
I think, dude, I want to be different. I want to say goes to penalties. Cole Palmer steps up, fourth penalty. Hey, wide.
I like it. I'm going to go. It's funny, actually. Chelsea play Fulham at the Bridge, and they both got, obviously, the second leg that they both have to worry about now. So I wonder what the lineups are going to look like for one this weekend. But I do think Chelsea get it done. I think they'll probably at least score to push it to extra time. If they don't get extra time, yeah, I don't know. I think it'll come probably down to penalties, and I think
they just
Chelsea will
can't
win.
finish.
Yeah, but I think just the home crowd will get it done. And
You know
then
what's
we'll.
crazy?
What?
You know what's crazy about Chelsea and how bad they are at finishing? You know it's it. You know it's it. You know it's it.
United are
We like it. We like it. We like it.
very close. They're in the bottom three of everything. So
That's great.
I mean, still in seventh though.
yeah, still above Chelsea. Do we think that if they don't go through, do you think that Chelsea will be Chelsea and sack them? Yes or no?
I mean, at least to me, yeah. With how bad he's been so far, I just don't see this being the reason he gets sacked. Especially because I think Liverpool would beat them in either way. So it's like,
I could see them doing it, but I just don't really know what manager they would go after.
Yeah,
I mean, there really is no managers on the market really that are out of a job. I mean, there's some young managers like Xabi Alonso and stuff, but he's not going to go into a club like Chelsea. I mean, there's in Spain and in Germany and stuff, there are some good younger managers and stuff, but no one really established at a club like Chelsea could call and be like, this is the guy who's immediately going to improve us. So
Super Frank.
I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't even put it past that. Just a third round and rest of the season.
How about Potter? Graham Potter.
Maybe a cheeky Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, it seems like the people that are all out of a job are just people that Chelsea have fired. So.
Yeah. Dylan,
what's it called? What? I've got this tweet from Opta Joe that I saw and bookmarked for this. It was Chelsea's first time they've lost a League Cup match against a side from a lower division since October 1999. So if he follows up and loses the whole tie, if he loses both legs,
yeah,
I mean,
that's pre Roman money.
I think if he, even if they don't go through, if they draw, they lose on penalties, something like that, he'll keep it. But if they lose outright at home, he's got to.
Yeah, I don't know. Stadium with it.
Is quick question is Nagelsmann, does he have a is he out?
He's the national team.
Yeah,
yeah, he is probably.
Yeah.
All right, and now we are moving on to the Premier League. We're going to game week 21. We'll first start, and we'll do it pretty quickly here. Burnley host Luton in a massive relegation fight. Luton win, they can go out of the bottom three until Everton play. If Everton win, Burnley with the win can go 1 point off Luton into 18th, or who is in 18th, and Luton will still have that game in hand that they did not get the finish against Bournemouth. In the reverse fixture, Burnley won 2-1. We'll just touch on it real quick. Little score prediction in the game. And if Luton does go on to win against Burnley, since Burnley are at home, do we think Vincent Kompany has to go? Dylan, go ahead.
I think it's going to be honestly one of the matches of the weekend. I think it's going to have a little bit of everything. It's going to be
go for it.
They have to. I mean, if you don't, it's a massive 3 points you can pick up here to really either confirm that somebody else is that much, like they have that much more to climb to get out of the zone, or Luton can propel themselves out of it for the meantime and not be under as much pressure and I mean experience life outside of the relegation zone in the Premier League.
Yeah,
it's massive
for them. All right, Walker, real quick. And if Kompany goes, if they lose,
I think Burnley sneak out of this game with probably another 2-1 win. And I don't think that this is really a big. I mean, I don't really think whether Burnley goes down or whatever happens with the Burnley season. I think it was pretty obvious beginning of the year. They knew it was probably going to be a yo-yo for the most part. I mean, everyone really thought at the beginning of the season the three that came up are going straight back down. So I think they trust him. I mean, they dominated the championship, and they had to get a couple new signings. So I think maybe I think there's a little bit of leeway. They've looked bright, unlike Sheffield United, and I think Luton's only really looked great at home, just because they're just grunging out games. So
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think Burnley get it done. Um, I think I kind of want to say comfortably. I'm gonna go 3-1. I think Luton just can't play outside their home. I think that company's days, he'll win this game, but then it'll go right back into after they lose one more. His days are numbered. So I don't know. I don't really know. Companies, I think the way company plays is more of a style for a big team compared to a way that Burnley needs to play to try and stay up. I think he wants to pass a little too much compared to just trying to get the win or a point or anything like that. So I'm gonna go Burnley win.
I'm gonna go with actually a Luton win. I don't think Burnley are very good. I mean, I'm like their wide players, but it seems like they're constantly rotating them. That guy Kolioshum, the American born, I know he plays for Italy, but he's a good player, and they've got some pacey wingers and stuff. And Lyle Foster, he's all right, but I really just don't see. I haven't been convinced by Burnley yet, and I think they're a little naive in the way they play. Like Owen said, Company has a pretty strict philosophy, and um, it's gotten them into some trouble. And I think they play themselves into danger sometimes when you've got a Sean Dyche at Everton or whatever, and he tells you just to put his foot through it. I mean, it may not be the prettiest thing, but you've seen it. It gets you results, and I think Company has been a little bit too stern at times, and just like Ange, especially in the game against Chelsea, you can have a way that you want to play without wanting to lose almost. Um, you can still get a result in games when they're there, and you have to adapt when situations arise. But I mean, against Liverpool and stuff, they played into the press about 5 or 6 times where I was like, if I was the manager, I'm just telling the center back, put that in the corner flag. I mean, it seems a little naive in my point. So I'm going to go Adebayo, gets on a couple loose passes. But I agree with what Dylan said. I think it could be a really open, good game, just with not the best quality in transition and it just being kind of a basketball game in the end. But I'm going to go 3-2 Luton.
3-2 Luton. All right.
Goals below.
Goal fest, that one. All right, moving on. We've got Chelsea versus Fulham, two teams that probably have an eye on another game instead of this one. Looks like Lavian and Cuckoo are not fit again to play. In the reverse fixture, Chelsea won 2-0 away at Fulham. If Chelsea do win, they could move up to 7th and not sit in 10th again for the 7th week in a row, it feels like, with the win of 2 or more goals. Fulham able to jump Bournemouth for the time being if they do win. Massive game for Poch after the Borough lost, and according to Owen, definitely on the hot seats. I think I'll go ahead and start. I think it'll be kind of an interesting game, like I said, because I think that the two teams have an eye on another competition, especially because Fulham will definitely think that they can go for it against Liverpool at home. Chelsea, obviously, at home against Borough, just needing one goal to, level a tie. But I do think that Poch is kind of playing like right now, especially with the way Chelsea's ran and their fans are. He's playing it game by game, so I think that he needs to win this game. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 win, like I said on the last podcast, I'm pretty sure. And I think that Poch isn't really on the hot seat. I think he's, they're going to have to give him more time. There's not another manager out there. But yeah, I think that Fulham rests pretty heavily and gets focused for that Liverpool game to try and throw anything at it. But yeah, I'm going to go Chelsea 2-0. Cole Palmer, 2 goals, please. Ref BL purposes.
I'm gonna go Chelsea 2-0 as well. I think that Poch is because realistically, it doesn't matter who Chelsea's putting out against Middlesbrough at home; they should be beating them. It really doesn't get too complicated. It's that simple. So I think that honestly, he'll especially I like with what Cam said. I think that Fulham rest some players going into. I think Harry Wilson gets to start for him. I think Pereira and maybe even Harrison Reed, they'll get rest. They were really good the other night, especially Harrison Reed. But I think they'll get rested, and I think Poch will really want to use that game as a confidence booster going into Middlesbrough and trying to get his players just up for it and stuff and confident. Yeah, I'm gonna go Chelsea 2-0.
Walker.
I'm gonna go. I just don't see either team winning it, so I'm gonna go 1-1 draw.
That's
Uh,
fair.
I just neither of them are convincing, like to me at all. I know it's gonna come back to bite me.
Honestly,
Chelsea's gonna come to the.
I'm going to that.
But I don't find either of them convincing, and I mean we already talked about the whole Poch situation in the FA Cup, so.
Yeah.
I think he's chilling for now. I mean, until it gets really bad and the fans start kind of rioting, I think that's the only way that he really goes.
All right, Dylan.
I think as long as Poch doesn't roll out one of his infamous 4 center back lineups, that Chelsea should be able to walk out with a pretty comfortable 2-1 win. But they're so sketchy. They're so sketchy.
Just while it's on the top of my head, I thought Levi Colwell was going to be a player, man. He has looked
I don't
donkey.
know either.
He's a donkey at left back.
I thought he was going to be I thought it was going to be him and Thiago Silva kind of get eased out. Betty Sheila, because I think he's all right too. But I thought it was going to be like Colwell is going to be like what Saliba has kind of like come up to be as like kind of the next thing to Van Dijk and stuff. Like I thought Colwell like kind of had the potential to do that this season even, but he is horrible.
Yeah, I think he struggled also a little bit at left back.
Yeah, I mean it definitely is that.
But he's still got to be able to defend. I mean, it doesn't
And
matter.
guess what? He'll still get called up over Ben White.
Well, that's pretty easy. Ben White can't defend.
Okay, dude. Bug off.
Moving on while we're at
Bug
it.
off.
Ben White somewhere in the town in midnight.
We'll touch on Arsenal later. Newcastle did host Man City. Newcastle going to 7th with the win. While City could go 2nd, 2 points off the top, which they will be level on games now because Liverpool don't play until the next weekend. This will be KDB's first game back. He's been in training. He played in the FA Cup fixture. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts and at least plays 60, 75 minutes. Holland also could play. He has been turning up for training. I haven't seen him in any training pictures. In the reverse fixture, City won 1-0 in an edgy game. And Eddie Howe, do you think that if they get blown away, that the fans will, 1, get sick of it, and for 2, the board, will they just kind of be like, it's time to move on? Walker, you want to go ahead and start?
Yeah, I'll start off. Start off with the score. I think it really depends for me on if KDB is back and if Haaland is back. If both of those are back, I think it could be like a 3-0 win to City. But I feel like if one of those two are missing, I think Newcastle could come away with a 1-0 win. They're really tough at home, and they know how to find results there. And then about Eddie Howe, I just don't. I mean, there's no managers in the market. I don't see them trying to find someone else. And I mean, they have a very loyal fan base, and he's turned the club around big time. So I just don't see him turning on them or them turning on him so quickly. With an injury-ridden team. So.
Good call. All right, Andrew, you want to touch on it real quick?
Yeah, I think, like Walker said, Newcastle is a horrible place for any away team to go. But I think this could be a real kind of decider in like where the title leads. If City just go there and walk over them, like 3-4-0, a statement win, I think that could really kind of scare Liverpool, all the other surrounding teams, and just be like, that's kind of it then. But if if Newcastle do get a result or something, I think it really makes things really, really interesting in the league. And I mean, I don't know if y'all remember last year. It was like the first game of the season last year. It was City at Newcastle, and Trippier scored a free kick. It ended 3-3. It was one of the games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But and Newcastle, they do get up for the big games, especially at home. I mean, you saw against PSG. It's not like they can't do it. And City this year, they look probably as vulnerable at the back as they've been in the last 3-4 years, in my opinion. Um, so, I mean, I think that it's one of those that could go either way, but I'm going to go 3-1 City. I'm going to go City score early, kind of. Newcastle get back into it and hold on to about 60 minutes, and then it's just either KDB or Holland, one of them come on, and it's just they get one, and Newcastle open up, and it's another. This game over. Also, I think Foden he deserves a shout out. He's been I didn't pick him. Little preview is in my team this season, but he definitely deserves a shout out. I think this is his best season he's had with KDB playing out or being out, playing the 10 and everything. I think he's been really good and could kind of pick up those half spaces in that game and kind of start to run it. But
Done.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that Newcastle are going to find themselves chasing shadows.
Yeah.
I think City, I mean, they didn't lose anybody for AFCON or the Asian Games. They've had a nice little break to regroup. KDB, I heard that Pep already said that he's not going to play him from the start, and they're trying to like really manage his minutes and like ease him back in so they can make sure to have him for the more important games in the run-in. But I mean, I still think they've got Doku back to fitness now. I think he could continue to pile on to Trippier's poor form. Dan Burn just cannot stay close to Bernardo Silva. I just think the City team poses a lot of trouble for the team that Newcastle is available to select because they're having their own issues as well. And I don't think same situation with Poch at Chelsea. There's no need to be rash and pull him out of the job because there's nothing better right now. So he'd still be able to rally the troops and salvage a good second half of the season, even if they get blown away or can't touch City. But I think City will have a pretty comfortable win, and like everybody's worried about, this might be the beginning of some sort of long run that they go on.
Yeah,
like Klopp said, KDB's back in all of England.
shaking.
Yeah. Can't believe you said that.
I'm gonna go pretty quick. I'll go 2-0 City. I just don't. I think that just starts some crazy run. I think Holland and KDB will come on in like the 65th minute.
We've all seen it before. It's just this time of the year they just kick into another gear and shatter hopes and dreams of everyone else.
All right. Well, moving on because I don't want to talk about them long. Everton play Villa. Everton hosts Villa. Villa have a chance to sit level on points with Liverpool until next weekend when Liverpool play. Everton with the win can keep climbing out of the relegation zone, or not in the relegation zone, but right above it due to their deduction. Real quick, we'll answer this and then we'll do a score prediction. What would be more impressive, Everton staying up with their score or with their deduction, or Villa making the top four? Walker.
Honestly, I'd probably say Everton. I mean, just the way that everyone thought. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I mean, they were looking horrendous. And people were like questioning, are they going to be that one team that drops that's been in the Prem? And I mean, even last year, I mean, they scraped their way through. So I think Everton, honestly, is pretty impressive. And I think they'll get their points back, but I think it's pretty impressive that they're still sitting about out of the relegation zone, at least right now.
Yeah. Dylan, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I think Villa making the top four is a lot more impressive just because everybody had such high expectations for the Big Six. You had people trying to say that Newcastle was breaking in. Everybody had a pretty strong summer from what it looked like before the season kicked off and everything. And with Everton, not that they're lucky, obviously. Like, it's awful to have a points deduction, but it happened so early in the season, and it riled up the fan base, and it really like gave them a proper wake up call. And I think that's especially with Deitch, like he plays and gets the fans into it a lot better than a lot of other managers in the league do. So obviously credit to them and getting to the position that they're at now and already being safe from a 10-point deduction. But I think Villa cracking into the top 4 as of now is a lot bigger of a statement than them being safe.
I think there's just a lot of time for Villa to bottle it.
Well,
And I think
if
they
they make
will.
it though, if they make it, that's
This is if, this is if they
Yeah.
make it. You got a
They're
point.
not, but hey, theoreticals, man.
Go ahead and say, or what's your guys' score prediction, real quick?
at
Or who?
Goodison.
At Goodison.
Yeah, Everton Villa.
Everton 1, Villa 0.
Hmm.
I'll go 2-1 Villa.
I'm going to go 1-0 Everton, too. I think that Villa, I mean, they were so lucky to get that penalty. I think it was against Burnley in the last minute. That was never a pen for me. And they've been teetering on the edge. I think with Sheffield United, they got that goal last second to get a draw.
Yeah.
They've kind of been due a poor result, so I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little sneaky 2-1 Everton win. Dwight McNeil brace.
Yeah.
I think, and also I think Everton staying up is a little. Now that we're in, if you would have asked me in the start of the year, I would have said Villa.
Yeah.
But I think Everton's staying up now just because how poor the teams around Villa have been. I mean, also how poor the teams around Everton have been. So you can make a case, I guess, for both sides.
Yeah, I was about to say I think Villa make the top 4 is definitely more impressive because you think about the big 6, the summers they had. I mean, with United finishing second last year, I think we all, if you would have made your predictions preseason, you would have had them in the top 4.
Yeah.
I mean, Chelsea, you definitely would have thought they would have improved. Liverpool, they did improve, but like you thought. And I think that you had all the big 6 in at least the top 7. And that other team would have been Newcastle because they were great last year. And I mean, the first day, Newcastle beats Villa 5-1.
Yeah.
And it looks like it could be a long
Yeah, I was
season.
scared.
Yeah.
So I think Emery, I mean, from what, and I'm a huge Gerrard fan, but what he did there with pretty much the same squad, what Emery's doing now, I think is definitely more impressive. And like Walker said, I mean, it's a long time left to see if they actually do finish there. But either way, I mean, I think they're only behind City in the past calendar year on the amount of points. So
Yeah.
I think and like y'all said, Daesh has done a great job, but like you said, having it early on, kind of rallying the fans, rallying the players, they've been able to prepare. And also the 3 relegation teams that came up, I mean, the gap is big. It looks like they're all going to be the 3 that go down. So I think if it was a different year where there's a better championship side, like in years past, then have finished 11th or 12th, that Everton would be going down. But I think that just because the other sides are so poor, that they'll be able to stay up.
All right. Moving on to
of
Man
the week.
United versus Tottenham. Probably game of the weekend.
Yeah, game of the week.
United with the win can go level on points with West Ham until they play next week, and 5 points off of Spurs, who they would play. Well, Spurs with the win could go above the mighty Arsenal, their London neighbours, until Arsenal play Crystal Palace in a week's time. I guess I'll start since this is my club, United. I think that I've been saying it, and I'm just hoping I don't get clipped, but I think that United win, and I think that they win pretty comfortably. As he
Go ahead,
likes to
Mark and
clip. But yeah, I think we just have a lot of players returning from injury at the right time, whereas Spurs lost Son, and they also have lost Star and Basuma.
And game Timo.
But they did gain Super Timo Werner.
Wait, they also lost Eric Dyer.
And
Yeah.
who hasn't
Wasn't
played?
playing, yeah.
Since
Eric
Marine.
Dyer.
No, but I think that United do win. I think it's just one of those games at Old Trafford that we end up winning pretty comfortably. I'd go. I'm gonna go 3-0. And Onana gets a clean sheet
Ooh.
before he goes off the Afcon.
Sheesh.
Yeah, and that's it for me.
I'm gonna go with the United win. It kind of is. I'm just getting those vibes of like the Chelsea game when Chelsea went. It seems like this is just United. They'll lose the next week. I promise you. But it's just one step forward and two steps backwards. It seems like with them. They actually played. I mean, that was a great game against Chelsea. Both teams just couldn't finish. But I mean, it was definitely a good watch. And I think this will be kind of the same. I think Werner will have a couple big chances and not put him away. I think Hoyland will have a couple big chances and not put him away. But I think he'll get one, and
The miracle.
there'll be someone else that will turn up. And I'm going for a 2-1. I'm going to go for United. I think Spurs will go in away from home a little naive and just be open like they always are. And United have, even though they're not great, they're not a bottom half side. They have enough quality to, with the space that Spurs give them, they'll get chances. So I'm going to go United.
Walk done.
I'm gonna go. It's obvious, man, who I'm going for. United's gonna win, man. It's gonna be 1-0. It's gonna be 1-0. 1-0 to United.
Oh, come on. 1-0. That doesn't sound like United.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm a man of.
He's up till February.
Let's just say, yeah, United's winning 1-0.
Well, keep an eye.
Oh, wow. They just actually, I forgot they signed that Romanian guy, Radu Dragusin.
Yeah, he won't play though. I think it's too early.
We have it might be like a work permit type thing as well.
Yeah, he's got to get his visa.
Yeah,
I hope he's still
his
going to
work
get his
visa.
visa in because somehow he'll have an awesome game at Old Trafford. Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll just be too much without Son and Madison. I don't think Werner
Yeah,
makes
Dylan?
up.
Yeah, I see. I'm feeling a 3-2. I think Man United. Yeah, I'll go 3-2 United.
Yeah,
Come on, lads.
I think that.
Not
Yeah,
over.
no, I think.
See,
I think crazy that guy chose Tottenham over the new center back over Bayern.
Yeah,
yeah, but he's not gonna play at Bayern. That's my thought process.
but yeah, I think Tottenham will be too open.
And Eric Dyer is going to be taking his minutes.
I think one thing I will say though, I think Andrew's not a real Liverpool fan. Who goes for Tottenham or who goes for Man United over Liverpool or
Because he's
over
starting
Tottenham?
the 8 lad beside him.
he doesn't want a Bartolo Colon smash.
Try not to be biased here. I would have just gone down the list and just, I mean, I'm about to sit was going to destroy Arsenal. Yes, 20-0 against United.
All right, moving on into that Arsenal Crystal Palace match. I'm gonna let you two have at it. We'll start with Walker, and then we'll go to Dylan.
In contention.
I will say, I think we've had a tough patch of form recently, and I think this game is really going to be a redemption game for us. I think we're kind of going to really get off the back foot on this one. I think we're due for some goals, man. I mean, we've had such a high XG these past few games, and just, I mean, can't find the back of the net.
Mate, you've got Kai Havertz.
Okay, relax, man, relax.
Hey, I've got Nunez too, so I feel
Anyways,
he put up
man.
7.5 XG against Newcastle.
But I also think that I don't know. This was just one of my thought processes. Like, this is a tough game for I think Palace because I mean if they come to the Emirates and get absolutely smoked, I think Roy's job is under some fire. I mean they haven't looked great underneath him, and probably gonna get clipped for that. But
I
it is what it is.
This comfortably as well. Honestly.
Really, dude, he hasn't done anything. I just don't see what there's no change to the game. They're not. I mean, they've had a tad bit more chances, but they're a lot more open now. So it's like it's kind of win lose.
All right, Dill.
He's
Yeah,
also
I
like
think-
80. Dude's on his deathbed.
Hey, oldest manager ever in the
Dude
Prem.
might get Roy Williams to get a heart attack on the field.
Jeez. Don't wish that on Roy.
Roy.
I mean, obviously, no Elise, no Ayu. It seems like there's nothing good to come out of this, but also Arsenal 1-7. Like you would have thought that one of those games would have been the one to turn it around. So I mean, Roy is known to be a little frustrating man.
I will say though, we have had a tough patch of games in terms of teams. I mean, it's Liverpool twice, played Villa as well. Okay, buddy.
No, don't even talk, son. You're at the top of your game right now. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You should be battering each team.
And I mean, earlier against.
I could see, like, because Roy, I mean, he's an experienced manager. He'll be telling his players, like, listen, they've only won 1-7. There's a reason for that. Don't think that they're an invincible side. And I think he'll at least get them to. I mean, they've shown that they're a little bit vulnerable at times and everything. So I think that he'll make it a physical, frustrating battle. That'll be his goal, is to have a low block. And I mean, there'll be some players on yellow cards. I bet Chris Richards picks one up inside the first 15. If I had to bet, but I mean, it'll just be one of those games. I think Arsenal do come out on top. But it depends on when that first goal goes. If it's 15 minutes in, it could be a really long afternoon for Palace. But I think Palace could hold on until about 60, 70 minutes, and one goes in, and then I mean, Palace could even hold on to that and try and get one. But I think if they let one up early, then it could be a really long afternoon for Palace.
We have seen already this season, though, with against Liverpool. I mean, 1-0 up against Liverpool until Ayu gets sent off, and they went to the Etihad, right, and drew 2-2. So I mean, they've been putting in performances against the top teams. So
they tied City at the Etihad.
Yeah.
So who's to say?
Yeah, especially against a poor.
I am to say. I'm just saying it's not happening.
I'm gonna go ahead and say
I think that now's when you'd rather be playing Arsenal than any other time of the year.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't know. See, the thing is, I just saw Arsenal are in warm training in Abu Dhabi or something like that. So
Spirits are up, baby.
For no
They're
reason.
selling their soul.
And now, for now, no reason whatsoever. But now they're going back. It's an early kickoff, so I think that kind of does not help Palace. Palace also have to play in a game from now in between then against Everton in the FA Cup, depending on what they put out lineup wise. I've kind of said it for a while. I think Arsenal, you got to win this, and you got to win it pretty convincingly. But I'm going to go 3-0 Arsenal. And I think Roy's boys are in a little bit of trouble, Mr. Roy. I would love Palace to come out and, put a result in, maybe get a result. But I just can't see it in any frame of mind.
I'm an optimistic Liverpool fan saying I'd love for them to do something, but I just can't see it. I think Arsenal's like frustrations of the last 7 weeks.
Yeah.
You might be at the wrong end of that one.
You might have just lasted a little too long there. It might
Yeah.
just caught the barring of
I hope so, man.
This game honestly screams at Eddie Nketiah hat trick.
It really does.
That is like the most Arsenal thing. They batter him 5-0. Eddie Nketiah hat trick. Rice will score, and they're the best team in the world.
And Havertz will score. It'll be 6-0. Havertz brace and Nketiah Hattie. And Saliba to score speed.
Yeah.
All right, let's stop Walker up down there. He's getting. All right, Dylan, what was your final score prediction?
Realistically, 2-0 Arsenal, but I'd love to see no Schlub, no Hughes.
Yeah.
Play França from the start and play Ozo. I mean, the man is like a mountain in them. He's got the same build as like Onana, basically in the middle. But since he's young and academy player, Roy is just like, we'll save you to the 85th minute.
All right, we're going to buzz through these next two games. We've got Brentford vs Nottingham Forest. This will be Tony's first game of action. He's got the FA Cup game, but also this one. This might be the first game he starts, maybe, since they are at home against Forest. I'm going to go ahead and just say Nottingham Forest are going to win. I think that Brentford have just I don't think they really got anything going for them. I think Forest, they're just weird team to play against. I don't really know. They'll show up one game, they won't show up the next. But I'm gonna go Nottingham Forest win 2-1, and I think Thomas Frank is close to getting chopped. And this is Tony's last game for Brentford. Breaking news, publicity.
You can go. I'm gonna go because I haven't said one yet. This game just screams like a 1-1 draw. Just a not great game. Gibbs White and I don't even know. I don't think Tony will score. That's not gonna be that much of a fairy tale, but it'll be like Gibbs White or Alanga do something good. Or Dominguez, I think he's a decent player. But then they're not looking great. I think they might squeeze Mateus Jensen or something. He might squeeze a goal, but it was just
Maybe a little sneaky Roger Slev from right wing back.
Yeah. All right, Dylan, Walt, real quick, score prediction. What we thinking?
0-0. Nasty, nothing game.
It's just got it written.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a I'm gonna go with a 1-1 draw as well. I think if it was at Forest, I think Forest wins about 2-0. But
I agree completely.
Forest away from home is not the best team compared to at home.
If I honestly, I'd back Brentford if Viso was there
And Emblem, Emblem.
But I mean, him leaving. I mean, I think that's just. I mean, Tony, I think, isn't going to come straight in the side and make an impact. I mean, hopefully I don't get clipped.
You're going to get clipped here.
Tony I don't think he does. So I think that's a huge loss for Brentford.
Yeah.
With him going. So I think they're going to have a tougher time than people kind of think.
All right, moving on to Sheffield United hosting West Ham. West Ham could be without Bowen, Paqueta, and Kudus. They will definitely be without Paqueta and Kudus. Bowen has popped up here recently with the injury. I've called it since Kudus left, and they haven't looked the same. But I'm gonna go Sheffield United 1, West Ham 1. I think they get out of there. I think they get at least a point. I think if there was to be a shock result this weekend, it'd probably be there's still one more coming up. Sheffield United could win. But yeah, I'm going to go Sheffield United 1, West Ham 1. That's it. Walker, you're up, son.
I'm going to go see, as much as I would love for the Hammers to lose, I'm going to go for a 1-0 win. Hammers sneak one by. I think it's a late one, too. I think it's probably in between the 70th, 80th minute.
It also is at Sheffield, by the way.
Yeah. If it was at, But yeah, that's my thoughts.
I'm gonna go for a 1-1. I think Chris Wilder's made him a little bit more difficult to play against. And at home, I mean, I don't think they'll win. That's a little bold, but West Ham, I mean, they like to play on the counter and stuff. I don't think they'll be too used to being the side that completely dictates possession and breaks down a low block. They're good on the counter and everything, and no Bowen, no Kudus and Paqueta to kind of play that final ball or make that final touch. I think they may find it a little bit more difficult than they think. So I'm going to go for a 1-1.
Dylan?
Yeah, I like what you're saying there with how West Ham's usually the one to sit off, not the one to have to dictate play and try and pull a team out. So I think Sheffield at home, if there's ever a time, it's now.
Yeah. If there's ever a time, it's now.
Yeah. So yeah, I think passion. I know a lot about that.
Passion, United, love that. All right, moving on to Bournemouth versus Liverpool. Andrew, take it away, son.
Yeah, I honestly think this could be a really tricky game. Bournemouth's a tough place to go. I think the stadium just kind of is built around where if you don't play well in the first 30 minutes, the crowd can kind of get on your back, and they'll know that that's how they frustrate Liverpool. Um, you're gonna have to have some players step up. With Shabazai won't be back. Obviously, Endo, Salah gone at Asian and Afcon. Um, Van Dyke, I mean, he looked the worst of the two against Fulham. Kwanzaa came in and played great against Arsenal. Kanate has been really good the past couple games, but apparently he was really sick and demanded that he played. And Klopp was kind of iffy on it, and he didn't have a great game against Fulham. But hopefully he's feeling better and everything, and he'll be back to his best. But Solanke, he's a striker. I really like him. So also, I don't know if you guys know this. We have a buyback clause on Solanke, so for 30 million, which could be. I mean, it could be a cheeky little summer.
30 million.
Yeah. Michael Edwards masterclass on that one, but yeah, I think we still scrape it out. I'm gonna go for a 2-0. I think McAllister has actually come back in the side since his injury, and he's played really, really well. I think Curtis Jones keeps his spot, and he doesn't really do any the flashy stuff most of the time, unless he's mugging off Ben White. But he just keeps the ball moving, does the right things at the right time. So I think, and also the other day, Gravenberg had a really, really strong start to the game. I thought the first 10 minutes he was looking really, really good, and for about 50 minutes after that, he looked horrible. He's been one of those players where he's come on and he's looked great, and then he's come on at times and look not so good. So he's going to have a big part to play with our midfield injuries and stuff. And also, people forget we've got good old Thiago coming back in a couple weeks, and I think he could be a little cheeky addition that people forget about, just in especially a possession-based team like Liverpool, keeping that tempo ticking with players being gone. But I'm going to go for a 2-0. Not dominating. I think it's going to be difficult. We get one maybe in just before half or 50th minute or something like that, and get one 70th minute or later. But I think it'll be more difficult than the scoreline kind of shows at 2-0. I'm going for a 2-0.
Dylan, go on, son.
I think it'll be a fun little. Uriel and Klopp both have their identities on how to press, so I think that they'll both kind of be end to end, not so hectic and everything, pretty controlled and thought out. But I think that Liverpool just has a little too much firepower in their squad, and Bournemouth is kind of falling off of their purple patch of form. So I could see a 3-1 Liverpool win.
Yeah, wouldn't put it past us to concede. We haven't been great at clean sheets. I was pretty surprised we got out of the Emirates with a clean sheet, to be honest. We always concede at least one.
Wolk, you want to go ahead?
I think I don't know, man. Maybe this is my delusion playing into after losing to Liverpool, but I think Bournemouth sneak out with a 1-1 draw. I think Solanke gets a cheeky goal in like probably the 30-something minute. Liverpool get one back late.
I'm definitely not that confident about this.
But
to most, if we were to play any other side, honestly, I'd be more confident playing to Chelsea United than I would be at Bournemouth at this time.
Yeah, my big thing is who's going to score. That's the big thing with Liverpool. It's been solid, really creating everything. So I really want to see how they do without him, especially in Premier League setting.
Yeah, we played Bournemouth away at the Cup, and we won on some late goals in the Carabao Cup. Gakpo and Nunez scored. Nunez actually scored a worldie that day.
I do remember.
But
Was that crossbar down?
No, it was like Trent played a great ball out to him on the left, and he miscontrolled it. Almost goes out for a throw, and he goes tracks it down, beats the player outside of the box, and just curls it top end from about 25 yards.
They
But
also
just Nunez in the clip.
yeah. You also got a man sent off and still won the game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with a Bournemouth win 2-1
Wow.
because I just think this is set up for Liverpool. Right here, Liverpool just not being able to do the business without Big King Mo Salah.
Mo
Um,
Salah.
I just think Liverpool on the road they concede. I mean, in Bournemouth, I think they went through their bad patch, and then they had the FA Cup this weekend where they didn't play that many starters. They played a few. Solanke was rested, so I don't know. I just think this has kind of a Bournemouth win written all over it, or at least getting a point out of it. It really will test to see. I think if Liverpool win this,
I think if we win it comfortably, it's a real
yeah,
sign to the rest of the league that we're serious
Yeah.
title contenders.
I can agree
If we
with
get
that.
if we get a 3-0 4-0, I think it really puts the rest of the league on notice.
Yep, I can agree, especially with no Mo.
Mhm.
Alrighty, moving on. Brighton versus Wolves. We'll just make score predictions here. Not really much to talk about.
Yeah.
Wolves could jump into European spots if they do win. Wolves are fun. They're definitely making it.
This
you
is
know,
at the Amex, right?
Yeah, the Amex as well. This win could make it 5 straight against Wolves for Brighton wins. I'm going to go with my first draw 1-1. I feel that you know, I think that Brighton have been without Matoma for a little while now, but Wolves without Hee-Chan Huang due to the Asian Cup could affect them a little bit more compared to Brighton. So I'm going to go 1-1. I just think I'm leaning more toward the Brighton win probably just because they're at home, but 1-1.
I'm gonna go for a 2-0 Brighton win. João Pedro brace. I think without Huang, I think Cunha is a really good player. I think he kind of gets overlooked sometimes, but I don't think that they have enough goal threat. Is Neto back?
Yeah, he is.
He
Yeah,
is
he's back in fit. Yeah.
That's big for them. I don't know. Yeah, I'm either if he plays, I think if he plays a good amount of minutes, that could be a 1-1. But if not, I'm going to go for Brighton 2-0.
Dylan Walker. Dylan, you want to
Yeah.
go first?
I'm gonna go Wolves 2-1. I think Neto being back for them is good, and they've had some more not fringe players, but they've had like Sarabia. He's had more of a run into the team and shown his quality, and I think that Brighton right now, no Matoma, no Adingra, and I think they're just short a couple players going forward. And Gary O'Neill and the way that Wolves team is set up, very athletic and cover space well, and I think they'll be able to sort of nullify Deserby ball and be able to hit them on the counter too. Because Brighton still, I mean, I've always thought that if you just are able to counter them or actually attack and don't just like sit off and let them pass and pass and pass, that they're fragile.
Yeah.
Walk, you want to go ahead?
I'm gonna follow up with Dylan. I think 2-1 win for the Wolves. I think they're a very solid team. I think they're overlooked sometimes. I mean, they are pretty inconsistent, but I think they have a very, very strong squad. And when they put the pieces together, they're very threatening. And I think right now, I think they could do it against Brighton at the Amex.
Brighton are sneaky in seventh. I mean, they're on even on points with United. They've got a better goal differential. I think just the standards that everyone kind of set of them last year, playing just so good, especially against the top six, that they've kind of gotten overlooked to a point. But I mean, they're 4 spots ahead of Wolves when it comes down to it. I mean, they're only 3 points ahead, but that range is real tight there. But I mean, that result against Tottenham kind of is what I'm going off here, just because I don't know if that was their last game at home in the Prem, but they looked great that day. And against a kind of open side, I'm not saying Wolves will be, but they can almost go up against anyone. So I'm going Brighton.
Alrighty, well that wraps up game week 21. We will now go into Walker and Andrew's team of the season so far. We will start with Walker. If you want to go ahead and list your team from goalkeeper.
All right. I think I don't know. I think it's pretty obvious for the most part in terms of who is the best in most positions. But I'll start off with goalkeeper. I think Allison is probably. I mean, he's playing. I mean, the best team in the league right now. Best defense in the league right now in terms of the best defense in the league based off of the numbers. So I think it's just obvious Allison, and he's always a rock back there. I mean, against Liverpool in the FA Cup. He was their rock every time we got a chance on goal. Then I'm gonna start on the back line. I'm gonna go to the right back. I think Trent. Trent's probably been, by far the best right back in the Prem's. Not really close. It's not much to really debate. Same with I feel like Saliba and VVD. I feel like those two have been pretty solid in the back. You could give maybe a couple other players a shout, but I think Saliba definitely, in my opinion is slightly biased, but I think Saliba's definitely been the best defender in the Prem, at least center backs wise, this season. And then left back, I don't really have a real left back, but an inverted left back. I have Pedro Porro. I feel like he's been pretty solid for Tottenham this year, and he has touched the left back position. So I don't know if I'm cheating on that, but
No,
I just don't see many left backs that have been great this year. I mean, you could say Digne, but he's been injured, so it's not. He hasn't had a real consistent run of form.
Pedro Porro, I rate him a lot. I like him.
And then go in the midfield. I have 3 DMs, which is pretty funny. I feel like there hasn't been many amazing attacking midfielders this year, but Rice and Rodri are just the rock of both City and Arsenal's midfield. I feel like if either of those guys are gone, the teams just aren't the same. And then I think Douglas Luiz I would say he's more of a DM, but he contributes a lot offensively, and he's every single time he's been out, which is, not often, but he's been out a couple games because of yellow cards, but they just haven't looked the same in the middle without him. And then I'm going to go my 3 up front. The most obvious, which is the player of the season so far, Salah. That's pretty obvious. And then Ollie Watkins up front, and then Son on the left. I think Ollie, he hasn't been as prolific of a scorer as he tends to be, but he's really I don't know. He's playmaking this year. He's kind of showing that he's got a little bit of diversity in his game, and I think he's been very solid. And then Son's just kind of carried Tottenham on his back with his goal scoring and abilities this year, which I wasn't expecting at the start of the year. I thought he was going to be horrendous. It really hurts to put 2 Tottenham players, but I had to go unbiased. I really wanted to put Saka, but
yeah, you just can't. You just can't, especially after this.
He doesn't play left wing either, so it's like,
yeah. I went pretty similar. I think if you're just basing it off of team of the season and based on the expectations and everything, I think Vicario has a shout. I think he's been great coming in to Spurs, but if you're going on the best player, it's Allison. He's just year in, year out, the best keeper. I think he's the best keeper in the world, saves us. Last year when we were just wide open defensively, I think was the real example. He just showed how good he was and kept us in, so many games. Trent, I think up until maybe the start of December, maybe Trippier would have had a shout, but his past month and a half, he's been horrible. Walker, he's just kind of solid. He does a job. He knows his role. He gives it to the better players in the sense of creating. Defensively, he's definitely better than Trent, but I think Trent, just his all-around game this year, just kind of speaks for itself. Van Dijk and Saliba, I think those just pick themselves. They've kind of, you wouldn't have any other center backs. If you're making a team, they're just dominant. They can play the ball. They're athletic. Really everything you want from a center back. And a left back, I maybe would have gone to Stupinian before he got injured, but I like the Porro shout just because there hasn't been that many great left backs. I think Pedro Porro has been better than Udogi, but I think Udogi just in the sense that no one really knew him before the start of the season. He wasn't really a known commodity, and he's come in and he's played, in my opinion, he's been dangerous on that left side for Spurs, and just kind of an unknown quantity before the year. So I've been pleasantly surprised in the sense I think he's played really well. Moving on the midfield, I think Rice and Rodri, like Walker said, they're the two that, just like Saliba and Van Dijk, you're going to pick them. You see, especially with Rodri, the drop in quality when he's out of the team. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, Walker's Rice even missed a game. I mean, he's been. It seems like
Nah, I think he, yeah, no, I don't think he's missed a game
yeah,
so far.
he's just been an 8 out of 10 every week. It seems like when I
Yeah.
watch, even when Arsenal hasn't played well, he's played well. So, like even that Fulham game I was watching, I mean that was the West Ham game. You guys dominated, and I mean they got two kind of counterattack goals. But with the Fulham game, I just thought like that was the Ellsworth game by far, and didn't really create much and didn't really look too much of a threat. But even in that game, I thought he was by far the best player on y'all's team. So just in terms of consistency, an 8 out of 10 every week, he's got to be in there. And then I'm going for kind of a 10, Rice and Rodri sitting, but I'm putting Cole Palmer to come in to Chelsea. Been by far their best player. I think everyone knew he was talented, but thought that I think a lot of people thought that City got the better deal on that side, offloading him for 45 million, and at the time, but it looked to be a pretty good deal for both sides. He was too good to be sitting on the bench and not really getting minutes at a young age, and Chelsea is something that they needed, so it's working out for. And I mean, obviously Cole Palmer, he wants to play, but he's been really good. I've enjoyed watching him. And then my front three is the same: Salah, Watkins, Son. Son's kind of played through the middle, so that's he. I mean, he always plays out on the left in years past, so
Yeah.
that's not really that unfair to pick him. And I mean, obviously Holland is one of the top goal scorers, but I think Watkins. I mean, Holland just is Holland, but Watkins, I think everyone's been impressed by everything that he's done, and he deserves a shout. So, and then Salah, I think he's got to be in there. But yeah,
Moving on here to our last couple things, which are just a few questions from people through the Instagram. First, we'll start. The first one is from Carson Powell. He wants to know who is the best player from outside the Big Six in the Prem currently. I'm gonna go ahead and start. Keep it pretty simple. Big Dom Solanke. I think that he's probably been the best player outside of it, especially for how much he's overperforming for
are
Bournemouth.
we saying the top six or the big six?
The Big
That's-
Six.
okay.
So Villa's outside of it.
Okay,
Villa's
that's
outside
what
of
I'm
it.
wondering.
All those players, yeah. So basically, the Big Six will be United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, City. And why am I missing one? Wow, I can't wait to watch this back. Liverpool, Chelsea.
Yeah.
Big Six club. What you saying? All right. Yeah. So outside of those teams, that's who you can pick from.
I'm gonna go. I think Douglas Luiz. I think he could, just in terms of like best overall player. I think he could go into almost any team in the world and do a job for him. Ollie Watkins definitely up there, but I don't think he has necessarily the quality that some other like the best nines have. But I think Douglas Luiz, he could kind of get into any team and do a job. I think at Liverpool, he'd be great there. Arsenal were after him last year. I think he'd be great there. Yeah, he's just a player that I think kind of no matter what side you put him in, he'll do a job. So I'm going to go for Douglas Luiz.
Walker.
That was probably my first shout. Since he said that, I'm gonna go a different route, and I'm just gonna kind of go based off of what I would really like, a player that I would choose at Arsenal. Um, who knows? I mean, I think if he was at Arsenal, I think he'd produce much more than he does now. But I think Pedro Neto would be a massive shout for one of the best players, most talented players in the Prem. I mean, he's a little underrated. I mean, obviously everyone knows his quality, but I think he's a little underrated in terms of he's produced in a Wolves team that hasn't produced in the past in terms of goals, and he produces at a high rate for them. So
I think
that'd be my choice.
I think he could do a little Jota job, like how Jota did, like same thing at Wolves, and now he's at Liverpool and he's producing at a higher rate just because of the players and the system around him. And I think, like what you're saying with that,
100%.
Dylan?
Yeah,
Oh gosh, we know who this is.
Yeah,
gonna be.
I'll take Walker's logic and raise it one level higher with Michael Elise.
Yeah.
Just has to be. No further explanation is needed. I mean, he's going to the top. You could put him in any side in the world, in my opinion, right now, and he doesn't look out of place.
Love that. Love that. All right, boys.
Well, until he's sitting behind Bukayo Saka on the bench every game.
Oh, no, he's coming to the United.
We'd put him at the 10. He'd probably come in for
Cook.
Odegaard. Odegaard captain comes out of the game every game. Makes no sense, but okay.
All right, and one more question we got. And the last one, who will get the Champions League spots? I'm going to go ahead and do mine.
Doesn't have to be in order.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be in order. We're going to do 5. We're going to go on hoping that the Premier League gets 5 teams in the Champions League.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and do City, Liverpool, Arsenal.
Yeah, those last two are the real ones that.
I don't want to do it. I'm gonna go Spurs just because I think that they have legitimately nothing to focus on, and if they get bounced from the FA Cup, then they are just in the Premier League. I think Villa's got a little that they're focusing on the Europa League, their Conference League. So, and then the 5th team. Screw it. I'm gonna get United. Come on, United. I don't know. I think that this is me being a delusional United fan, but I think that with all the players we got coming back, I think that we go on a mini run here and try and force some hands. And yeah, I mean, all we're in is the FA Cup, so being in only 2 competitions. And having Casemiro, I think Martinez being back is just going to be humongous for us. So, but those are my 5. I'll run through them again real quick. City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, United, because we love United.
I'm going to go, I think that for the most part, we're going to have Liverpool, City, Arsenal in all of ours. I'm going to go same Liverpool, City, Arsenal in those. And I'm going to go Spurs. I think they'll finish 4th. And then I do think that Aston Villa creep up into that because I think Emery, although they are he's a European manager and everything, I think that he knows the worth of getting in the Champions League over because if you win conference, you're just in Europa. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily there's not a huge incentive for them to go and win that competition when if they're doing and keeping up with their form that they have been in the league, they should be getting that regardless. So I'm going to say I think Spurs with Maddison coming back and their center backs because I think the first part of the year you could make an argument that Romero and Van der Ven were for the first part when they were both healthy. Before that Chelsea game, they were looking like one of the strongest center back pairings. So I think that they can go on a little run, especially with, nothing else to focus on. Then I think Villa fall off some, but I think they stick around enough. I think it's between them and United. I don't think Brighton, West Ham, or Newcastle, and definitely not Chelsea, will be around there. So I think it's between Villa and United. And that result at Old Trafford a couple weeks ago, where United came back, could be very telling coming into the season. We'll see.
Walker.
Um, I think the top five is just gonna stay as it is right now. What Andy chose. I think they're just kind of. I think it's just kind of like at this point, that top five is just kind of a tier above everyone else in terms of form and just levels right now. I think United could probably make a run for it. I just think it's a little tough. I think if they find everyone healthy and they find a little bit of attacking form, I think they could challenge it. But I just don't see that happening. So I think the top five would just stay the same.
Dylan.
I don't know. I want to stick with the top five that it is right now, but I can see both United and Newcastle.
That's such an
Newcastle got bounced from all competitions, right?
Do up.
Did they finish bottom of the group or no?
Who? Newcastle. Newcastle's out of everything but the FA Cup and the Premier League.
Yeah,
I think same with United. I think that plays a huge favor into their hands, and I could see them with getting players back to full fitness. I think the Uniteds. I think they can make a serious push, but I don't know who's going to be the team to fall off, because I think Spurs have already gone and strengthened in January. Villa maybe has a second half collapse, but
yeah.
I mean,
I
as
always
we talk,
I don't believe Villa, but
I mean, they're 3 points off the top right now, so it's kind of hard to go against that, though. That's my thought process.
Over halfway throughout the season, it's kind of hard to go against them.
I just feel some teams are due for an injury. Like I think Liverpool not having Mo for a little bit, Trent being out. I don't know how long. I know they said 3 weeks, but you never know with the knee injuries. It could always get worse.
Villa do have a pretty good run in for them.
Yeah.
They play us. That could be a really big game of the title. The second last game of the season, Villa at home against Liverpool. That'll be big. That could be big.
That's a toughie for y'all.
I know. I'm not going to be looking forward to that if we're like 1 point ahead or something.
City just got a little bit of
Hey man, think about this, man. Ours last year, it was Newcastle. Had an absolute stinker too.
Yeah.
Just blew our chances.
All right, boys. Well, looks like that wraps up the second podcast.
Yeah, boys.
I think it was pretty successful.
Two.
See you later, lads.
Yeah, boys.
Peace.
Out.
Ta-dum.